Welcome to the Circle of Them, where we unmask mental health issues and life issues that mold us into the people we are today. I'm your host, Marcus Smith II, and this is the Circle of Vulnerability. It is freeing. It gives us the opportunity to share our struggles and how you come out of those struggles and hope to help someone else heal. We have a special guest stepping into the circle today. We have former fifth-year NFL veteran Zach Moore with us today, bro. What's good? How you doing, brother?
Well, I just want to say I appreciate you for allowing me on your platform. I'm happy to be here, and hopefully we can have a really productive conversation so we can amass everything we need and provide the information for the people that want to know and don't know. So appreciate you.
Man, I appreciate you for coming on, man, because this is like locker room talk, right? Mm-hmm. And there were times in locker room where we could have those conversations, but it probably didn't get too much in depth, because if I'm looking at the next man, I'm like, man, I ain't about to tell him, my deep, darkest, unless you just a best friend or something like that. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's kind of hard to have those conversations because, you got to really take into consideration that this player might feel the exact same way. So you probably don't want to, necessarily burden them with your issues or problems. But we have to break that stigma and, be able to have these conversations amongst each other, because who knows, if certain pieces of information can really help us get through those times.
Bro, what you say there, bro, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm just creating a circle to allow us to be able to create a safe space that helps us get through unmasking and taking the helmet off. But first, on the Circle of Them, what we always do, we always tap in with the guests. So, you played in the league 5 years, I played 6. We both played in this rigorous sport, but we don't necessarily ask, us, like the football players, we don't ask, how you doing? Or what's your day like? What's your mood like? So how you doing, brother? And what's your mood like today? How you feeling today?
Well, thanks for asking. I'm feeling real great. I always feel better after I get a workout in. That's my next career field. That has been my current career field for about 2 years now. I'm an ISSA certified online fitness and nutritionist coach. So my spirit is feeling real high, especially, when I talk to my clients and I see that they're doing good, they're knocking out their workouts, all the tasks that I need them to do, so they can live a better and healthier lifestyle. That's been my next life mission, is to get more guys, really everyone, but I cater my business towards more men. Trying to get them healthy, get them active, and see that, physical health and mental health goes hand in hand. So you got to be able to, be in the realm of both. So, but how are you doing?
Bro, see, that's why I like you, man. I'm doing good, man. Actually, today it was a good way to make sure my emotions were intact and not really jump off ship when stuff is not necessarily going how you would, want it to be, right? Yeah. And sometimes stuff doesn't go as planned. And now I'm learning through my podcast and through all the things that I'm doing that I have to stay even keel, and I have to continue to move forward, even with maybe, chaos going on around me. So, but other than that, man, I'm grateful and I am thankful to still be doing what I love to do. And that's really being able to talk to guys like you, man. So I appreciate you asking that, bro.
Yeah, no problem, man. I could definitely, empathize, the point of what you're saying about, life being chaotic at times. But, even with those circumstances, I built up a callus of, not, letting it get too out of hand. You got to learn how to reset yourself, learn how to internalize your feelings, process everything that goes on around you. And to me, life is about making adjustments and not excuses.
Man, sometimes I do let it get out of hand. And I remember my wife and my mother-in-law, even my mom too. When you get 3 people saying the same thing, it's like, all right, you got to make some changes, because they're like, man, you can't let your emotions control your day or how things are going to go for the rest of your day. You just got to kind of, pray, do your positive self-talk. Because for me, like with my therapist, I think positive self-talk helps me the most. So if I speak it out in the atmosphere, that's what really helps me. What about you? Is that the same thing for you?
Yeah, definitely. I like to take actions on my emotions. That's why I be so proactive with physical activity. That's something that's given me, an unbelievable amount of release, and helps me recenter myself. And that's things I like to convey to other people that I have these conversations with. And, people on the outside looking in on us pro athletes, they think, we're always supposed to be happy that, we make a certain amount of money and we get to do a sport that we love. But, I tell people all the time, even though we have achieved that status, we're still human beings. We're not always immune to, what life throws at us. We're susceptible to anything, a person walking down the street can happen to them. So, I don't know if they like see us as like, superheroes, but I like to, tone down that stigma with, we're all human beings, so we're not immune to anything that can happen to us.
Man, true. I always say, at the end of the day, we're human. We're more than what we've done, which is play football, and that's all people look at us as, and we're trying to break that. We're trying to say, hey,
Exactly.
no, we're not doing that. But I want to go to, where you grew up, man. So from my understanding, you from Chicago, right?
Yep, I grew up on the south side. I was born on the east side, raised on the low end. For the people that, know Chicago geography, that's like, more towards downtown, but still on the south side. We call it the low end. And it was a pretty rough neighborhood. It's not nearly as bad as it is now.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say, what was it like growing up there? And is there a misconception about growing up there?
It is. Things are different. Things were way different when I grew up. Kids were, we were playing outside. We were pre, technological age. We didn't have YouTube and social media and all of that. So our form of entertainment was going outside and playing. Now that has totally switched. You got a lot of violence, a lot of younger guys committing these violence, and it's really not safe for kids to necessarily be outside like how we were outside. But it was still pretty rough. There were gangs and stuff that existed, but it was more controlled. There was more structure. You didn't really see it as much as it is now. But it's a lot different. But, I enjoyed my childhood and the friends that I grew up with.
Man, same here. I think it molded me and created that competitive edge because we was always outside competing, doing something. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. We're doing backyard football, just being kids, just having fun. So
the competing now is a little different. You can compete and make some money off playing Twitch or playing the game and stuff like that.
Back in the day, we used to call them game heads or game booties, like, people that play video games a lot. But now people are really making a lot of money playing video games. So it's cool to see that transaction. And, I'm a gamer myself. I play Apex Legends a lot. I actually went to an Apex Legends tournament in 2019 in LA. It was called a Pro-Am League. It was like a bunch of, different other celebrities and pro gamers. So that was really awesome to be a part of.
Dang, that's crazy, man. And see, I hear Ocho, I hear him talk about gaming all the time. But see, I'm not really a gamer, but I don't knock it. I feel like, man, if that's something that you like love to do, or you can really meet new people and have a different effect on you as far as like playing the game and it being fun, like I'm all for it. But what else too, man? I want to say it's Concordia. Is that how you say it?
Concordia, St. Paul in Minnesota.
All right. So you went to a small school, right? Mm-hmm. But you coming from a small school, you got drafted. You did really well at this school. What was that like coming from a small school and getting drafted? Like, you know what I mean?
So, coming from Southside Chicago, it was even an honor to play college football. Not that many players get that opportunity. Most of us fizz out after high school due to, not being able to afford college or whatever, not earning a scholarship. Because at the Division II level, I don't know how it is now, but back when I was playing, there were no scholarships. So you essentially had to, accumulate a lot of grants or whatever to kind of equal up to a full ride. So just to have that opportunity was a blessing. And then getting to Concordia, it's a small private Lutheran school. No one's ever heard of it. And there was really like 7 to 8 different Concordias. So, it's hard trying to, explain to people which one that I go to. But, having that opportunity was a blessing. And, I took that opportunity and made the best of it. It wasn't perfect. I did get into some trouble in college that, got me kicked out of school or whatever. But I fought hard to get back in school, and I took my life more serious. And then I parlayed into, a chance to play in the NFL by, putting it all on the field and putting it on film.
Man, you did that. You got your second chance, and you made
it was hard. But I just had to stand out. The level of competition, I had to play above and beyond it. It's not really many defensive ends my size, at the school. So I really had to stand out, just put the numbers up, and opportunity just came after that.
Did you do pro day that year too? And did you go to the combine also?
I did. I went to, University of Minnesota is probably like 15 or 20 minutes from my school.
Oh,
so
that's nowhere.
I competed in their pro day.
Man, I know you was turning heads that day because, I mean, you got drafted we got drafted in the same year.
I was gonna say we came out of the same class.
Yeah, man. And I
don't know if you remember him, but I did Rasheed Hageman. He was a defensive tackle that came out of Minnesota. So I was at his pro day.
Yeah, man. You know what? Matter of fact, we practiced against the Patriots.
Yeah, the Eagles.
With the Eagles.
The joint practice. I remember that.
So, man, that leads me into my next question. I gotta ask, bro. What was your first NFL season like being a rookie? You know what I'm saying? Because I know for me, it was probably the longest year of my career and the hardest year of my career. So, like, what was your experience like going into it?
Well, I could honestly say for me, and they was telling me about it, you may hit that rookie wall. I'm like, what the hell is that? But I definitely hit it because typically during my college season, we only played 11 games. Well, the NFL season is, 16 to 17 weeks. So around that, like, 12 week, I'm like, geez, I went from, training for the combine, doing pro days, getting drafted. And our draft was the latest draft. So that week, I had graduated from college. The next day, I got drafted to the Patriots. Then the next day after that, I was on a flight to New England or Boston, Foxborough, Massachusetts. And then we had, practice and all that. So it was like everything happened so quick. But other than that, my rookie year was great, especially leading up to the Super Bowl and us winning it. So I wouldn't have it.
Let's go, man. Yeah. So same here. So I got drafted. I had to fly into a press conference. Mm-hmm. I had to fly back to graduate. Then I had to fly back to go to minicamp. So it was like, you didn't even get a chance to spend time with your family. Like, you didn't get to say bye. It was just like, the demand calls.
Quick, man.
It's time to go. And I think mentally that did something to me because it forced me to get into like grind mode like right now. Like I didn't even have no time to kind of like woosah and just like drop my shoulders. It was like my shoulders was up and it was up for the rest of the year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But of course you guys went to the Super Bowl. So think about, I only played 16 games at the time. Y'all went into the playoffs and y'all went all the way, man. So what was that like winning the Super Bowl, man? Like, what was that experience like?
When people ask me, I really can't. You just had to be there. Like, I can't really explain how it was, and then how it ended, like with the Malcolm Butler interception. He's another player that came out with us. We thought we had lost that game on the 1 yard line with Marshawn Lynch in the backfield. Like, this is probably over. Then, everything unfolded how it folded, and it was like, damn, like we really won a Super Bowl. Like my rookie year, like that's pretty awesome. But that whole year was about total dedication and commitment. That I was very thankful that I ended up being drafted to the Patriots. That's why I learned real work ethic and really earning your spot on the team and doing your job and holding yourself accountable. And some people don't like it up in New England, but I've had a different experience. I'm glad that was my first home because everywhere after that, I was able to, pick up things much faster. And it was I ain't gonna say it was easy, but it was much easier for me to, to adjust.
So people don't really talk about the mental grind of just playing in a league and just playing in the NFL. Like in your experience, right? You had your first year, right? Moving on to your next years, man. What was your mentality like? And did you go through any mental health battles continuing your career, man.
Yeah, because the following year I had went through somewhat of a positional change. I got drafted as a DN, but in their system at the time, it was kind of like a hybrid outside linebacker. So I was a lot lighter, maybe like 265-ish, 270, and then I went through a positional change. They wanted to move me more inside. So I got up to about that off season 2015. I probably got up to like almost 300 pounds, at least 297, 300 pounds. But, yeah, yeah. And, it was fine. But to one point, I was definitely stronger. But, gaining all that weight, I just didn't feel good internally. Like, I started to have back problems. I felt much slower. I didn't feel as much, as conditioned. And, I had to really, look around like, okay, all the interior guys here, Vince Wilfork, he's a big dude. Like, I'm talking about 360 pounds, like a big dude. And, the lightest interior lineman there was probably around like 330. So I'm like, wait, y'all want me to be big like these guys? Like, I can't necessarily, be athletic at that weight. That's not what I, saw myself as. And that's not what I, at least in my mind, I didn't get drafted to play interior. So that camp, that camp, I was cut. And, I had my conversation with the coach and the GM, and they wanted to bring me back on practice squad to help, develop me into that role. But, in my head, I really had an internal battle of, is this really what I want? Like, do I really want to gain this weight? Because it's affecting me mentally. I just don't feel athletic and I just don't feel like myself anymore. And, I had to make the decision to part ways. And, my next team that I joined was the Minnesota Vikings. And from there, I was able to, get that weight off me and feel like myself again with that, I envisioned the player that I wanted to be.
Man, that's good that you say that, because people that are listening in, like guys who maybe want to go to the league and stuff like that, that's a hard decision, man, when you have a organization that wants to work with you, but at the same time, they want you to be what they want you to be. But like what you are and what type of player you are. And you decided, you say, you know what, I'm going to bet on myself, man. When do you really have people who are truly betting on themselves? So if you got any advice from our guy Zach today, man, make sure you always, betting on yourself. So when you got to Minnesota, you actually got to drop your weight and you felt like yourself again.
Yeah, because that's why I was drafted as. I was a defensive end, and I played some interior, but that wasn't my primary position. Like, I was the type of player, I'm a big body, I'm 6'6", at the time, like 265, 270-ish. I can, rush interior, some passing downs, but, constantly taking on double team, like, that's wear and tear on your body. Like, for those that, have never taken a double team consistently, yeah. It's some of the most it's 270, 280 on like 600 pounds trying to move you. And it's like constant banging. It's like, I don't know if I'm built for this. So, I just rather be on the end and, play my natural position.
It's kind of messed up when you think about it, because a lot of times they put you in a position and want you to be successful at the position. But then if you're not successful at the position, they kind of like blame it on you and say, hey, well, you didn't know how to do what we want you to do. Well, in the back of your mind, in our mind, because this happened to me, I speak from experience. I never played inside linebacker ever, right? Yeah. I've always been an outside linebacker, the kind of linebacker during like blitz downs and stuff. I was like the Joker, be roaming around and different things like that. So I never actually played linebacker. And they were trying to teach me linebacker during the year. And bro,
like as far as interior linebacker?
Yeah, and like inside linebacker, Mike at that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm playing Mike, calling the defense, and the inside linebacker, and I'm not saying that I couldn't play it, but trying to learn that during the year from week to week, that was that was a struggle for me, because it's like you put me in this position and I'm gonna do exactly what you want me to do, but I didn't do my very best at it because I just didn't know what I was doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
We were just
that's not really a natural position.
right. We were just learning on the fly. And the next year I ended up getting to move back to my regular position. And actually tried to ask, like, what was the reason for the flip? And they just needed me at that position at the time, and I was the most athletic person that they could use at that time. So I was like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, I understand as an organization what you have to do. So they have to do what's best for them, and of course you have to do what's best for you. So going
Yeah,
into your
I don't know. Sometimes when coaches say that, I just feel like sometimes it's smoke and mirrors. Because if you got a guy at a position who excels at that position, and you know he can excel at that his natural position, why would you take him out of that and move him somewhere else? That's like taking Khalil Mack and putting him at Mike. Like, sure he can play it, but he's not going to be as effective as a outside rusher defensive end. So, yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was some coach's way of like mind tricking you or whatever, but you can't really know for sure. So, oftentimes you gotta just do what you told and hope for the best.
man, what you say? So your last season was probably
Yeah,
one of your better seasons.
it was.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You playing, you doing your thing, right? And
Yep.
so after that year, you didn't get re-signed.
Mm-hmm.
I was even looking for you. I'm like, how? How, Sway? You know what I'm saying?
Man.
What
Yeah.
was that like dealing with that, man? Because I know having to take that helmet off, take that mask off, mentally you start to think, man, like, are you good enough? Like, what was that like, bro?
Yeah, so my last season, 2018 with the Cardinals. That was probably the most fun. Besides my rookie year, that was the most fun I had playing football. I was there with a great locker room. I actually traveled with Steve Wilkes, who was my defensive coordinator in Carolina the year before. So when I got released from Carolina, I was actually, because I live out here in Arizona, I was on a flight back home, and my agent. Thank God I bought the Wi-Fi on the plane. He had, shot me a text. He said Arizona want to bring you in, and I remember, Steve was there, Coach Wilkes. So as soon as I landed, got to the facility, did all my, physicals and everything, and then I signed. And I was back in my natural position. I loved his defense. I loved, the way I fit in it. I was a 4-3 end. And playing behind guys like Chandler Jones, who's a perennial All-Pro player, Pro Bowler. He was also my teammate in New England, so playing with him again, that was pretty fun. And it gave me opportunity. That's something I was searching for my entire career. Just an inkling of opportunity. And it got to a point where I had to earn third rush downs. I did my thing. Did my job. And that parlayed into me, getting more pass rush opportunities. And within that opportunity, because the entire year, I only played, I want to say 20 to 21% of the defensive snaps. And, I was able to have, 14 tackles, 3.5 sacks. And that was real productive for, the amount of snaps I was given.
Bro, that's a solid year, bro. Solid.
That was just, I was just, it was a combination of me knowing the system that I was in and just playing and having fun. And, after that season, I'm feeling real good. I'm feeling real confident. I did my best. I put it on film. And then the following year, 2019, I went unsigned. But I had a workout with the Ravens, I want to say in camp in August. So did that, and then I continued to win unsigned during the season. Then that left a big void in my head. Like what did I do wrong? I seen not to be disrespectful to anybody, but I've seen guys get signed for less production. And I was like, what's up? I'm talking to my agent. He said something will happen. And then the season went by and nothing happened. So that's when I really started had them thoughts in my head like, was I not good enough? Like, could I have done more? I thought I gave it everything I had. And, that was a tough season for me. Just, basically sitting at home watching, the season go by and I wasn't able to be a part of it. So yeah, that was a big mental struggle for me not being out there. And then the following year, the COVID year, that completely changed everything. As far as getting the tryout, workouts, getting on a team, it was kind of like if you already weren't on a team, it was going to be very difficult for you to get a job, especially if you didn't get the shot, which at the time I didn't because all of the things surrounding it, and I wasn't too sure. So that was really a tough spot for me to really have a deep conversation with myself of this this could possibly be over. And after that, after I made that decision, the next 2 years, that year and last year, 2021, I was so disconnected from football because all of the pain I felt from it, in regards to doing my best and not you know going unsigned. So that was a real struggle for me, and it's something that I often think about, especially like when you mention like, and other people have mentioned like, you had a real good season. What happened? I don't really have the answer to that, so it's hard for me to explain that to people. But it's something I do wonder about.
Man, I agree, bro. I went through the same thing, and the only difference with me was I signed back with Seattle. I kind of my fourth year, I kind of had that same year, kind of like 3.5 sacks.
Yeah,
Played 20% of the snaps. Be lucky to get 14 to 15 snaps a game. You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
And at the time, I didn't think that it was good enough. You know what I'm saying? But when you really look back, it's like, dang, like you actually played really well. And I kind of, after that, I signed back to Seattle, had a suicide experience, walked away, signed back with the Redskins, Commanders now, of course. And then I
Okay.
signed back with them the year later, and I got to be in camp with them, bro. The best camp I had. I graded out the whole camp, you count the preseason games, graded out a 91. Got cut the first cut. They said you need to work on your pass rush, but I didn't lose a pass rush. Right? It's in
Yeah.
practice. Like I had forced fumbles in the games. I mean, it was pretty. It was pretty sweet. I thought I had it in the bag, and then next thing you know, I didn't get picked up. And then the following year, the whole year went by. I had maybe 2 workouts, didn't get picked up. So that question came, and that's the next question I want to ask you, man. When you figured it out that you were going to be finished with football, when was that time when you say, you know what, I'm finished? And did you have trouble with your identity? Did you go through an identity crisis during that period?
I did, and I want to reference something that Bill Belichick said, and it always stuck with me. He told us this my rookie year. He said, sometimes you can do everything in your power to do everything right to the T. I'm talking about minimal mistakes. You can do everything in your power to do everything right, and it still may not be good enough. And when I heard him say that, I was like, wow, like you can really honestly do everything the right way, and your best might not be good enough. And, that kind of helped me, with that transition. Because in my heart, in my mind, I know I did my best. And, when I decided to walk away from the game, I really did have an identity crisis. Because, I really wasn't into anything else during football. That's really all we know. That's what we practice for. That's what we, prepare for in the off season. That's really what consumes us the most. And through that, I went through a bad spell of, depression and anxiety. I checked myself into a mental health facility 2021, and was diagnosed with all of these things: PTSD, chronic pain syndrome, generalized anxiety, major depression disorder. And through that, I gained a lot of weight. Like this time last year, I was well over 310 pounds, 315 pounds, the heaviest I ever been in my life. That was just a combination of, everything that I went through and trying to find myself, post career. But, I was happy that I was able to, get a handle on myself, seek out the help. I would definitely encourage anyone who, even has an inkling of doubt of whether they should get help or not. The first sign of mental health illness, get help immediately. Talk to someone, therapist, somebody who you can trust overall. Seek out the help so that you can, mitigate, being a risk to yourself or to other people. Because I'm a dad, I'm a father of two girls, and through that whole identity crisis, it was hard for me to be a dad around them. They always saw me as a football player. They seen me on TV, they watched me play or whatever, and whenever they would bring it up, it kind of made me sad a little bit. Like, damn, I'm not really that person anymore, and this is really who they see me as. So trying to establish identity out of that was real rough, but through fitness and me going back to school and getting my certifications, and now trying to transform other men's lives, and really everyone, but more men lives, to get a handle on their physical health and mental health, increasing their testosterone so they can live happy and healthy lives. That's been my mission ever since, and that's going to continue to be my mission, until I can't anymore. So. Yeah, it was a struggle, but I'm glad I got a better handle on it.
See, I like how you talked about like your struggle, and then you talked about where you are now and how you got through that, right? And then you talked about you went to a mental health facility. What mental health facility you went to? Because I went to a mental health facility too.
So I don't know if we were talking about the same one as Peer Recovery.
Okay, so you went to Peer in
Oxnard.
Okay, so I went to APN, which is in Colorado.
Okay.
And, for all you athletes, football players, what they have this program where you could go for 30 days and you could get therapy, you could get healing, you could get all these type of things, man. And it's wonderful, man, to get that reset and find out who you truly are. Like, I had to find out who the real Marcus Smith was. I'm sure you had to find out who Zach Moore was, and look at you now, man. You are
and not to just to interject. What I liked most about being there was being amongst like other pro athletes, other guys that I've seen around the league, other guys that I've been teammates with. It gave me that feeling again, like the locker room. That's what I really missed I say second to, really that's what I missed the most, the locker room and the camaraderie and being around, brothers of the same struggle, so to speak. We all have one common goal, to be the best player we can be, and, to be part of something and to win. Just being around those guys, it was really cool. Got to know a lot of them. We networked there. We got to know each other on a more, personal level instead of as just athletes. We got to know each other as humans. And, to this day, I still keep in contact with a lot of those guys, and to see where they're at now compared to where they were when we all were at the facility, it's great to see. So, I wish everyone, the best of luck and, seeking that type of healing if they, if they want to do so. I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, people don't, or athletes in general, don't understand, man, that when you got people around you that kind of like understand and that get where you coming from. And what I've noticed too, when we be in a circle and everybody be talking about some of the stuff that they was going through, everybody can relate. It's like, dang, like, bro, I dealt with that. Like, just like how you talking to me, I feel like I'm talking to myself because you've been through the same things, man. Would you change anything about your experience?
I would say but then they'll leave room for regret. I don't really too much regret anything that I've been through. Everything happens for a reason. Could things have been better or went a certain way? Maybe. But you said that's probability. I already know for sure. What things have been different? I decided to stay in New England and adjust in my new role. Maybe not. But those were decisions and choices that I decided to make, and something I have to live with. So the best thing I can do is internalize that. Recognize, acknowledge all my mistakes and fix them and move on and try to, put myself in a better position. So I really don't too much change anything. I love everything that I've been through, good, bad, and indifferent. And, I'm just looking forward to the next stage of my life now.
So through your experience, what do you do now to stay on top of your mental health? I know you talked a little bit about you being a certified trainer and things of that nature. So talk a little bit about that and what you do to stay on top of your mental health now.
Yeah, so like I said, I went to school, got my certification in online training and nutrition. I have my own fitness app, AGP, Any Gains Possible Fitness. I have several clients that I'm training now through my online app. I provide customized training plans, customized nutrition. I have my own support group called the Goal Getters, where I keep my clients accountable and we're able to see each other's wins, celebrate each other, talk amongst each other, and kind of network. I over deliver for all my clients, on top of that, holding them accountable, providing them with any type of resources or knowledge that, I could provide them. Trying to get them to know me more as a human being instead of, as a former pro athlete. So that's been my main focus. Besides that, I do yoga with my guy, Brandon Bostic out here in Arizona.
That's the hot yoga?
Yep. I think it's called Blue Buddha Collective. There's another place called Physio Yoga. I go as well if I'm in the area. Besides that, I've gotten into boxing quite a bit, Thai boxing. So that's really being physically fit and active is, I want to say my antidepressant. That's something I look forward to every day. I got my schedule every day of everything I need to get done. I just try to knock it out and be as consistent as possible. But I'm just looking to expand my business, try to help out as many guys as I can. I'm actually training guys that I've played with before that are no longer playing, because you do know it's primarily offensive and defensive linemen. For the most part, those guys are like overweight. So when you're done with football, you want to try to get that weight up off you. And what many guys don't know is that being overweight and having high levels of body fat is really detrimental to our mental health and our testosterone levels, which is very important for, us as men. Biologically, that's what makes us men. That's, what regulates our emotions and everything. So if we're not keeping that in check, then we'll start to see some of those side effects of having low testosterone, like, osteoporosis, weakening of the bones, erectile dysfunction, hair loss, trouble, concentrating and, remembering things, all types of mental health, cons that come associated with having low testosterone levels and high body fat. So my mission, like I said, is to get as many guys in shape so they can, live happy and healthy lives.
Boy, man, people gonna hear that because I'm gonna be talking to you after this too, man. Just, because I work out and, I'm kind of like going to and fro and I just bought a new home and I'm gonna have a workout room in there, but man, having that person there to push you and actually kind of like get the best out of you is like something that I always be kind of like longing for. Like, that's what I'm used to, you know what I'm saying? Not having to kind of like do it myself. Cause it's like I cheat myself sometimes. Like, do I really got to do that rep? Nah, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I'm always holding my clients accountable. Sometimes I often think that I'm getting on their nerves, messaging them every day. But in my head, that's what they pay me to do. Like I said, I'm going to over deliver on all of my services, and I've done this, through studying. I'm always studying, continue studying. I'm gonna probably go back and get my certification in strength and conditioning as well. And I'm able to do this, through experience. Like I said, this time last year, I was around 310, 315. And, I hated looking at myself in the mirror. I was super overweight, fat. I actually have my transformation video on my Instagram. And, I want to say it was the last week of December of last year that I had, I looked in the mirror and, I had to make the conscious decision of, I really want to change my life, look better, feel better. Gets back to looking how I want to look, because I didn't want to become one of those players that retire from football and all of a sudden I get super out of shape and it look like I never played sports in my life. So through constant training, dieting, nutrition, and holding myself accountable, I went on a 16-week transformation, and now I'm back down to 275, 273, which is that's my most comfortable weight. So. I'm going to just keep the ball rolling. I set a new goal for myself. I might want to get a little leaner, get down to like 265, and then just kind of have that be my floor. And, just continue the dialogue of trying to get, as many people as in shape as possible. Just stress how important physical health is, no matter what you decide to do, whether it's HIIT training, circuit training, CrossFit. I specialize in strength and hypertrophy, which is basically kind of like a bodybuilding style, high volume training. Strength training, powerlifting, whatever that field that you think you might like, I would encourage you to just go for it. Just have a plan and attack it.
Bro, this has been amazing. I want you to, man, you've talked about a lot of great stuff, man, and I admire you for that. And not just because we're on the show, but genuinely, for the last piece, what I want to leave the viewers with, can you leave them with like any encouragement for a young football player, young athlete who is gonna go through the rigorness of playing in the league? They're gonna go to the NBA. They may go into the work environment. Is there any sense of encouragement you could leave them on today?
Yeah, so I actually had this conversation often with a lot of younger guys that I've been teammates with that I kind of act as like, a mentor or a big homie to them right now. And I have a couple of them, they're going through this situation of, they're not getting a phone call and not on any teams, but unfortunately, they're going through it, younger than I did. I went through this when I was like 29, 30. They're going through this when they're 24, 25. And I could say for myself at that time, I really didn't have an idea of what I was going to do after football. And, having this dialogue with them, they're going through the same thing. I had one guy told me that he's been playing this since he was a little kid, so he don't really know anything else. And, I encourage those guys, you have to not necessarily have a plan B, but have a different outlet. Find something that you enjoy to do, a hobby or something that you can really get into that'll take your mind away from the game should that time come where, you're no longer able to play. Because, all of us don't have the ability to just walk away when we want to. Sometimes the game walks away from us, and it's unfortunate it happens like that, but it does happen. So I would definitely say, and I was able to do that because working with my marketing agent, Anton, he was able to get me into a lot of different fields. So, that year, 2019, before like the summer, I was going to, New York doing talk shows, national talk shows with Good Morning Football. I was doing modeling shoots with Jim Moore for GQ. I was doing supercar rallies in Philadelphia. Like I said, I went to the Apex Legends tournament out in LA. So I'm, immersing myself in all these different avenues to, see what I like, see what I don't like, and whatever I did like, I just, continue to do that. On top of being, in the weight room and being physically fit, that's just something that, I want to do. I want to, branch out and do other things. So I would definitely encourage them to, find another outlet, because football is not the end all or be all of your existence. If you're fortunate enough to play, until you're 35 or whatever, and you want to walk away, you still have the next 40, 50, so ever many years to live your life. So you got to, find what you like to do outside of that.
Yeah, because they always ingrain in our heads, like you need to eat, sleep,
Exactly.
boo-boo football. I want to say SHIT, but you take a double football,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
but not realizing, man, if you got the right people in your corner like Anton, he can put you in the right places to kind of like allow you to figure out what you like, man, and what you want to do when this time comes. Because football, exactly like you said, it's not here forever. But man, I appreciate you coming on the show, saying the things that you said, being vulnerable, unmasking for us, taking the helmet off. As you know, this is the Circle of M. I am your host, Marcus Smith II. Zach Moore decided to step into the circle today, and he gave us a great one. One that I'm pretty sure all you guys will recognize and want to remember. So I appreciate that. And we are out.